Hello, this is Tom Edmonds, the director of Dead in a Week or Your Money Back, and you are listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello and welcome to Kneel Before Pod, the podcast that will leave you sitting for 5 hours while not very much happens. That's actually probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's like scarily accurate.
I'm your host Craig, and I'm here to bring you a discussion about some, and I will stress some, news and trailers from March 2025. We're having a very stripped down news podcast this month for reasons that's too boring to go into. So if you'll just sit and wait for 15 minutes or so.
In an ambient, non-music sort of doomy noise.
Yep. My guest may show up, although he's already been talking, so maybe he's here already. Isaac, you're here again. Hello.
It's me again, yeah.
You couldn't stay away for 1 month.
Couldn't stay away. I was available.
You were available. You had an opinion. Therefore, you're here.
I have an opinion, so that's why I'm here.
Before we get into the things we have opinions about, let's start off with a bit of roundup of what we've been watching and things lately. What have you been watching?
Recently, I have just finished a series on Netflix called Adolescence.
The show that everybody except me has watched.
The show that everybody's talking about, even Keir Starmer. Essentially, a 13-year-old boy is arrested on suspicion of murder. It's a knife crime that has been committed, and it follows it all in a single-track, one-camera operation. I'm not sure the technical term, but it's a one-er.
A single take, yeah.
A single take, yeah. That's it.
Is every episode a single take, or is it just the first one?
Every episode is a single take, so it's an hour in real time. So it's 4 episodes, so the first episode, for example, is the arrest. Later on, one of the episodes is the investigation, for example. It's very stressful. It's good. It's a very stressful watch. I did find the first 2 episodes much stronger, I think, than the second 2. The second 2 are a bit more reflective, a bit more time has passed, whereas the first 2 are immediate. It's bringing up lots of stuff. It's causing quite a lot of chat in regards to adolescent crime, the Andrew Tate style things is involved in there as well, and masculinity and online use and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of things to say. As the nature of the show, it is very harrowing and stressful. There's quite a lot to talk about there as well, like interesting drama. On the nicer side, I suppose, I'm getting back into X-Files. I remember watching it when I was way too young. I was probably like 5 or so. I was trying to work out, because it's on Disney Plus, all the X-Files episodes. I was trying to work out which ones I remembered as a kid, and I thought I would have been around 10. But looking at the year it came out, or the year it was shown in Britain, oh no, I was like 5, and I was watching this much scarier show. But I've been loving that. I've been going back to that. It's really fun. It
was constantly repeated, though, so you could probably have watched it when you were 10.
No, it was my dad and my older sister who watched it a lot. So they'd record the episode. I think come out on probably BBC Two. And we're like, okay, weekly the new series is out and we're going to record the episodes and then we'll all watch them together. I don't think I watched them live, but I think I watched them tea time, not up at 9 p.m. or whatever.
On VHS?
Yeah, I think we just had them recorded on tape, so you'd have the intro to lots of X-Files and stuff. It's a really lovely comfort show. Mulder's great, he's really funny, and Gillian Anderson's always brilliant. It's difficult to believe just how much she doesn't believe in this stuff, even though every week she'll see an alien or some sort of spaceship. She's like, I don't think this is the case. We all have these comfort shows. Doctor Who's one of them other ones. But I've gone back to X-Files as well, just as a bit of a change. I do plan to catch up with Severance, which I think has finished its 2nd series.
Yes, only recently finished its 2nd season. And then you'll have 3 years or something to catch up before season 3.
Yeah, I'm going to try and watch a show that isn't from like the 90s. It seems to have been 3 years between the series, so I've got plenty of time to catch up, but I'm going to try and get through that, I think is my current plan.
I'm going to watch Adolescence because it's one of those everybody's talking about it type shows, and it seems like it deserves to be talked about as well. I've heard so much about it. It's things like young boys, young men in their bedrooms being radicalised by the internet. Apparently there's a line in one of the episodes where Stephen Graham says, I thought he was safe. It was the idea of, I thought if I kept him in his room, then he'd be safe, but turns out he was just exposed to some other dangerous content just by having access to the World Wide Web.
Yeah, it's a reference also talking about FIFA. It's like, it's a game, we just got on a computer, we just play football. It's a laugh. I thought he was just playing games or chatting to his mates or whatever. He says, I thought he was safe. I didn't realise what type of Pandora's box it can open if you just give them everything.
Well, it's a totally different world, isn't it? Because when we were young, still remember the computer being this thing and the internet being this thing. You would turn it on, you would muck around for a couple hours, you would switch it off, and it was gone. Until you went back to that computer again, it was gone.
It was this sort of oracle that you could play flash games on, and you got 10 minutes at a go or half an hour at a time or whatever, but it was never an ever-present thing.
Yeah, you had to make plans to go online because the computer took so long to boot up.
Yeah, I think most information as well, or opinion, most of it you just didn't have unless it was your local friends or the news. Now we have access to every opinion on everything ever.
So you ended up just believing some douchebag's brother telling you nonsense because you had no way to verify the facts.
Yeah, you just had to agree with them that The Sims 2, you could take a photo of yourself and you'd be in The Sims or whatever. And you're like, I guess, sure, if that's what you say.
Yeah, I've no way of checking. That's cool though. Adolescence, I will check it out. Is it only the 4 episodes?
Yeah, it's 4 episodes, so 4 one-ish hour episodes. So you can get through it fairly quick.
I'm guessing the single take thing, they cheated a bit and sometimes the camera will go behind a wall or something like that so that they can disguise a cut.
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than one. There's certain editing and stuff like that, but it's all in a fluid movement still.
Cool. What I've been watching in movies, I'll start from worst to best. Let's do it that way. I saw Snow White and I thought it was really bad. But I was kind of disappointed in the fact that it was really bad because it's one of those things where I really hate when awful people on the internet are, I'm not going to call them right, but kind of onto something.
Oh, they're vindicated. They're like, this will definitely fail, and then it doesn't do well, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, this film we decided to hate is bad, actually. Rachel Zegler, really good. She doesn't deserve the hate that she's getting for it. Gal Gadot, not good. Visually, it's ugly. The magical creatures, the 7 magical creatures look awful, and it's very slow and meandering, so just a big old mess from Disney there.
It looked too scary for kids. If I was little, and the 7 magical, is it Sleepy and Angry or whatever the names are. These ones are sort of scary caricature clown things. If I was a kid, I'd be like, it's too horrible. I think I'd probably start crying.
It's a shame that it's bad for Rachel Zegler more than anything else. Also, guys my age and older, are you really going to die on the hill of being racist against Snow White? It's quite embarrassing. Well, everything they do is embarrassing.
What are you going to say? There's so much other stuff you could be racist about.
Yeah, obviously. Just go and pick something else to victimise. I don't know. It's pathetic. Everything they do is pathetic, but this seems extra pathetic. You're just going on a tirade about this kids' film. This kids' film that's nothing anyway. It's not going to do well. It's not good.
Yeah. Imagine people screaming blue in the face at the cinema foyer and there's 5-year-olds holding their Snow White Happy Meal thingy on their day out after school and just some absolute strangers going, no, this Snow White's not accurate or whatever.
In their little Snow White dress, looking forward to the movie.
Yeah, they're just out with it.
And then you have these guys sharing pictures of unbooked cinema screens at 11:15 at night or something.
Yeah. Oh, no one's watching this kids' film at night. Well, yeah, all the kids are in bed. Unrelated, but did you see what Ben Affleck said about his Batman and why it didn't work?
No.
So he said a comment, people asked him why he didn't think his Batman worked. I'll try and find the exact quote. So he said, even my own son at the time was too scared to watch the movie. And that's when I saw that, I was like, OS, we have a problem. It's still Batman. I know the films do skew into the adult, but they can be family adventures. Maybe not so much Batman, but I think with his, he just saw that and that was his response. We've aimed way too high on this. This is not the people who should be watching Batman v Superman.
Yeah, there's loads of reasons that didn't work, but it's never coming back. People need to realise that.
It's fine.
Ben Affleck's not interested. Zack Snyder's not interested. Let's move on.
Yeah, no one's interested.
DC fans calling for a boycott of a DC movie is strange kind of madness, isn't it?
Yeah, can't really see what you're angry about anymore if you're aiming just to be angry about whatever the next thing is.
Also, if this Superman movie fails, they're going to be even less likely to make another Superman thing, whether it's your Superman thing or another Superman thing. So you're killing your thing you like.
Yeah, because it costs loads of money. So it's like, oh, what we'll do is we'll make sure this $300 million movie doesn't work. So they'll make a different $300 million movie that's slightly different. No, they just won't make it. So they'll never make it again.
Yeah.
Nobody wins if you're preemptively angry. It's just a waste of time. This is an angry roundup. This is probably a good thing it's not as long because we've got more things to be angry about.
We say it's not as long. We're at the start of the conversation. We could still be here in 4 hours. Or 5.5 hours.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully not, yeah. The other thing I saw in the cinema was Last Breath, which was Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and some other people are in a diving bell replacing underwater piping or something, and something goes horribly wrong and they get stranded under the sea. It was really good, actually. I was very captivated by it. I was very gripped. It was very tense. It's really short as well, so it maintains the tension throughout its quite short running time. It's very engaging. It's based on true story as well. It was good to see Simu Liu and stuff. He's really good. Woody Harrelson, you get what you get from Woody Harrelson. He's great, but he's always Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, he plays Woody Harrelson and everything.
Yeah, we have this Woody Harrelson-esque underwater repairman guy.
Does he still wear a little hat?
I can't remember. Not when he's on duty, he doesn't, definitely.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't wear an underwater. He's got a little, what they call their little pork pie hats.
He doesn't actually go under the water. Well, he's in the diving bell, but he's monitoring.
Oh, he's the tech guy.
Yeah. So, really good. It's definitely worth watching. It's 90 minutes, quite a tense 90 minutes, and very enjoyable.
Okay, no.
And the last thing I saw, which is even shorter than that, is Flow, which is that dialogue-free animated movie where a cat and some other animals try to survive the apocalypse. It's fantastic. It's well deserving of its animated film win at the Oscars. And I loved The Wild Robot, which was the one I saw that I was rooting for, as much as I root for Oscar wins. I don't really care. But if Flow winning gets it seen by more people and gets the people working on it more work, then amazing. It's very good. They nail the cat mannerisms. I was really emotionally invested in this cat's survival. It was whenever it had to go into the water, it's like, oh, cats don't like getting wet. It's not great for the cat.
As a cat owner, was it accurate to cat's behaviour and stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a bit where you've got a ring-tailed lemur and its tail's dangling off the edge, and the next thing you know, the lemur winces in pain because the cat's playing with the tail because it was swishing about, stuff like that. And apparently it's led to an increase in black cats being adopted.
Oh, that's nice.
Because people used to shy away from them because of the superstition and so on.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. 1 hour, 20 minutes. The cinema audience I was with were awful though. People talking all the way through. A screaming child where the parent didn't take them out. And some moron on his phone as well. So the trifecta of horrible cinema behaviour. But amazing movie. Fantastic movie.
Oh, that's good to hear.
On TV, I've been watching Daredevil Born Again. I've been enjoying it, but also feel like it's not amazing. Although this week, actually, when I watched it, as we record, it was the 5th and 6th episode release. And I feel like I've recalibrated my expectations for the show now, because I was seeing it more, or I was trying to see it as more of a Netflix show, but it's actually far more episodic. So it almost plays out in a case of the week type format, which I actually think can work for Daredevil. When you look at things like, from my reviewing history, things like Arrow and Supergirl and The Flash and so on, these episodic things where they fight a villain every week or whatever, you could do something similar with Daredevil where someone walks into his office with a problem, he has to do a combination of lawyering and beating people up to solve that problem. And you could have however many cases of the week you want for that kind of structure. It's not exactly like that, but it is very much an episodic one. Episode 5 is a bank robbery, and he's embroiled in that. That's the one with Kamala Khan's dad in it, actually. Ms. Marvel's dad. So there's a little bit of synergy going on there, I guess. I'm maybe hoping for a Kate Bishop cameo or someone like that.
Yeah, and there's 8 or 9?
9 episodes this season, then 9 next season.
Okay.
Which has changed from it being an 18-episode single season.
Yeah, and just spread a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously they retooled the show from what it was before to what it is now, but apparently the 5th episode is the first completely old episode, as in it was one that they filmed in the old regime, and they just left it more or less as is. And I'm thinking, I like that version of the show, actually. So I'm not convinced that they changed it for the better necessarily. I'll know more when the season ends.
Yeah, I suppose that could have just been a shining example, and it could have been 17 more mediocre ones, and just that one was really good, but we don't know.
We'll never know. So that's that. Daredevil Born Again. I'm enjoying it. I'm tuning in every week, and I'm actually tuning in on the day it airs as well, so it's got me gripped in that respect.
Okay.
I've said it before that if I like the cast, I can forgive a lot, and I really like Charlie Cox, and I really like Vincent D'Onofrio, so they'll carry quite a lot of it for me, even if it's bad. Which it isn't. It's not bad, to be clear.
It's just all right.
Yeah, it's just fine. Do you have anything to plug?
Nope.
Nothing at all. Okay. Neither do I, actually. I haven't really been appearing on anything over on Film Stories recently. I did appear on an episode of Podcast 616 talking about the 3rd episode of Daredevil Born Again. That would be the most recent thing I've done over there. There's an episode of We Are Starfleet coming up soon. We're going to do a First Contact Day special on that podcast as well as over here. So you'll have twice the First Contact Day celebrations from me, if you're so inclined. And coming up on here, we have the First Contact Day special where we revisit The Wrath of Khan and Lupin, Space Seed, Star Wars Day celebration, where we are discussing the return of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, and our episode with friend of the show, super nerd Darren Mooney, and Alien Day special. This is not the order they're releasing, I've just realised, but these are all coming. The Alien Day one where we're talking about Alien Romulus. So that's all coming up in the next month. Actually, it's going to be a busy month for all the anniversaries.
Yeah, quite a lot going on.
All right, let's move on to some trailers. We have a couple of trailers. I decided to just put 4 of the main ones on just so we can get something out the door for this month. So let's start with Freakier Friday. The first thing I'll ask is, have you seen the Lindsay Lohan version of Freaky Friday?
No, I've not seen Freaky Friday.
Okay. You're aware of the body swap concept, I'm sure. You've watched enough sci-fi.
I'm aware of a body swap concept, yeah. Though I do think from this trailer, I'm not getting anything really out of it. It's obviously a lot of sequel to Freaky Friday. I don't watch it for the trailers. I would be way more invested in what this is if I'd watched the first one.
This trailer's really bad. I actually think the first Freaky Friday is very good. It's a fairly early going into adulthood Lindsay Lohan movie. She was a child actor for Disney and so on. Freaky Friday was also a Disney movie, but she was a bit older. She was playing a teenager. I don't know if she was still a teenager, but she does an amazing job of playing Jamie Lee Curtis, and the film does a good job of setting up who their characters are so that you can see the mannerisms and so on. She, in particular, does an amazing job playing Jamie Lee Curtis, where I think Jamie Lee Curtis being a teenage girl is just okay, actually, which is surprising, but there you go. Considering she was one of the iconic teenage scream queens, but there we go. You can be surprised sometimes. This just looks a bit rough. It's very much a, let's do the same thing again, but more swapping. You won't even know who swapped with who in this one. It's very confusing. The grandmother's and the cousin or the daughter, I don't know, all over the place.
It has the Christmas movie I talked about, The Merry Gentleman's Own, Chad Michael Murray in it. I'm assuming
Yes.
he was in the first one.
He was in the first one, yeah. He's not quite the teen heartthrob anymore, although this trailer wants you to make you think he's still that guy. He's a handsome man.
He's still a handsome man, yeah. He's more of a silver fox than the teen heartthrob, I guess.
Yeah. Still riding around on a motorcycle, midlife crisis. But it looks rough. I think Lindsay Lohan deserves better, but it's good that she's getting work and seems to be on the mend from her more troubled times in her life, so that's good to see.
I'm sure there's big fans of the movie that will be really excited to see this, because I don't really have any connection to it. I'm not excited or whatever. I'm not sure what the current vibe is on how everyone feels about it. Maybe I'll have to watch the original.
Yeah. I think you'll enjoy the original. It's got a lot going for it. This looks like what you would expect a time-delayed sequel to something that doesn't need a sequel to look like.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get. It's out in August, we might see. All right, next trailer we have Materialists, which is Celine Song's next film. And she's one to watch because directed Past Lives, which is wonderful. Did you see Past Lives?
No, I didn't see Past Lives.
It's very good. This is her next movie.
Yeah. We have Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Johnson,
sorry, yeah.
Madam Web herself.
Madam Web, yeah. Her web connects them all, and this time in love.
Yes. She's a matchmaker. It seems like it's a bit like Hitch, but without the jokes.
I've seen a fair few of these. It's got a sense of a standard rom-com. There's a love triangle. There's 2 different Marvel actors you can choose from. Pedro Pascal's more successful, rich, more put-together character, and Chris Evans continuing his trend of just playing awful people.
Yeah, just playing a schlubby guy.
Just playing schlubs. He works as a waiter in a restaurant. He lives with roommates. He's playing more of a rough and tumble guy, and it's going along the line. She's great at picking people for others, but can she pick for herself? One problem is I was like, I'll just pick Pedro Pascal, obviously. It's a no-brainer. He said his house worth $12 million, and he's got $500,000, and he's handsome. Chris Evans is living with his mates, and he's like 40.
Yeah, and Pedro Pascal seems like a nice guy in this movie as well. It's not the rich guy's a dick.
Yeah, because usually the rule is she moved from the city and a big fancy job in a newspaper or whatever, and she's met the small town man. But in this case, they both still live in the same big town. And I think there was a childhood relationship with Chris Evans. I thought they know each other from the past. But Pedro Pascal, obviously.
He's rich, he's nice.
I think it'd be great if Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal get together. It's like, oh, we got together. We've fallen in love with each other, actually. We don't really need you anymore. He's like, I like this guy because he's got roguish charm. And he's like, I like Pedro Pascal because he's got millions of dollars and he's handsome. And they're just like, oh, yeah, we're happy together.
It works. It's an arrangement that works for both of us. Plus, isn't Pedro Pascal actually gay as well in real life?
I don't know. I don't know too much about him.
I'm sure there was something about that because apparently he went for dinner with Jennifer Aniston and people were suggesting they might be in a relationship and someone commented, he's gay.
I know he's a proud ally, his trans sister, for example, but I'm not sure in his personal life whether he's made it public or not. I mean, if he is, then great for him.
Yeah, more power to him.
Trying to think who'd be the third choice Marvel guy that she can have instead.
Ooh, not Robert Downey Jr. Chris Hemsworth?
Hemsworth, or the guy who's playing the Thing. One of those guys. You can have Shmuliu. I can't say, I never say his name.
Imulu, yeah.
He's there. He's in Marvel. You can have Oscar Isaac. He's Moon Knight.
I think Wong.
Or Wong, yeah.
Wong needs love.
Yeah, she can have one.
Will Madam Web choose Captain America or Reed Richards? I guess
Yeah.
that's a reading of this film. It would be quite funny if the film ends with her saying, I'm going to go with the rich guy, and Chris Evans is like, yeah, that's a fair choice.
Yeah, fair. That's what I would have done.
I'm a mess. You don't want to be involved with me. I'm just this man-child that lives in a sink or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, to be honest, I feel really guilty that I was serving your table at this date with a very handsome rich man. And I should have just left you well alone. I didn't want to ruin anything.
Now I'm going to go back to sleeping in the sink.
Yeah, go play Fortnite with my mate.
But I also think this film might have something to say about dating in general. There's another film that's coming out soon called Drop, which is a horror movie about the nightmare of dating apps and so on. This seems to be knocking on a similar door. You have a montage of people saying, I want someone mature or whatever. It's like, okay, I've got this woman for you. She's 31. No, not over 30. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does have a little bit of the pastiche. I'm only seeing people in attributes. They don't really like getting to know anybody. They're just going like, oh, I want this amount of money, this age, this thingy. So yeah, it looks like it might be saying a bit more about the materialistic nature that it is turning dating into, instead of picking a person for you or meeting them and first impressions. It's more about summarizing people in terms of specific attributes that you can choose.
Idealized fantasies. And how can real people compete with these unattainable things that advertising and things pushes on us? And you've also got the fact that people are pretending that they're deep and looking for something meaningful when you actually get down to it, they're very shallow, as it's depicted in this trailer.
Yeah, they're just going on, this is my type, I want this, exact this, find this person for me.
And I was parroting the Hitch without jokes thing because a lot of people have said that, but I did find this trailer quite funny, actually. I laughed a couple of times.
Yeah, I watch a lot of rom-coms. This looks pretty good. It seems well made, a bit more inventive and unique. Go at it.
Seems to have a bit of a dry wit about it, which is why people maybe think it's not funny, because it doesn't try to tug on the funny bone in the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't take typical rom-com jokes. It's a bit more subtle than some of the other ones.
Celine Song going mainstream, though, after the indie movie that was Past Lives. She's got Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson now. In terms of casting, it's quite a fame upgrade from the previous film that she made.
I like that. I like where they make a small movie. It's like now making a blockbuster. That's what I want to do. I'm not limited to making these arty or small-scale movies. I can also want to work with megastars and make something that's big.
Well, I feel like this is these megastars going into a more arty project rather than her making a bigger scale movie. Because she can make this movie with the cast of Past Lives, probably, because it doesn't need famous people to be in it. And it's good to see a director continuing to hone their craft in smaller projects rather than the trend of, you made one film that did really well at Sundance, now you're going to direct a $250 million movie or whatever.
Yeah, now you're getting Star Wars or whatever.
Well, actually, we're going to put your name on it, but we're going to do it. And then we'll blame you when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. So, yeah, what Marvel movie do you think she'll do for her third film?
I imagine a Disney executive go, we're looking forward to finding you on the upcoming Spider-Man 5 or whatever.
I don't even know what's coming. She can do Shang-Chi 2, maybe. That film that they're never going to make. She can do the Young Avengers movie.
The Young Avengers, yeah. That's a movie, I think, if they do it.
So, yeah, really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Whether it'll be Oscar good, I don't know. It'll be good.
I think it'll be good. Seems like a decent watch.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We have F1 or Top Gun Maverick, but in cars. It's even the same director. Bit bigger of a trailer. I think you were on a news podcast where we talked about the trailer that was just showcasing some of the tech.
I would say this is a downgrade for me. But again, similar to Freaky Friday, this is, I don't understand the world of Formula One racing. Because the first trailer was the heat of a race from the driver's seat, I think, or from the side of a car. So it was very teased. I didn't say much. But then, for example, there's a joke in this one where, is it Brad Pitt? And another racer. So it's like, when's the last time you won a race? It's like, same as you. And I was like, I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what that means in terms of racing. It kind of reminded me a bit of, was it Need for Speed as well? The Orlando Bloom movie, Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah, Gran Turismo.
That movie where the guy who plays the game so much participates in the actual sport. This is a world I'm not familiar with, so a lot of what they're talking about are things, or the notion that you're too old to race or whatever. I don't know enough about the sport to understand. It's a totally alien world. I've never watched Formula One or anything like that, or most sports stuff in general. The car stuff looks good. The races looks dynamic, like you said. It's the Top Gun Maverick guy, so vehicles moving fast, you get that guy. But in terms of the off-the-tracks drama and stuff, I'm very much of an outsider, not really understanding what the intention is and stuff.
You would hope the film will invite you into that and help you follow it, though.
Yeah, and obviously it's a reaction times thing. Racing is fast turns and quick changes and stuff, so someone who's a little older might not have those immediate reactions, so I can sort of understand that point, but just going from the trailer, the visuals of the racing looks brilliant, better than anything I've seen for a racing movie, but in terms of the driving drama. I was like, feels a little alienating. Or not alienating, but this feels like not for me, not my sort of wheelhouse.
Fair enough. My 2 notes are Top Gun Maverick bit in cars. Visuals are amazing. Brad Pitt is always fun. He looks like he's going to be playing a Brad Pitt-esque character.
Yeah, he's always fun. He's sort of pitting about. He's pit stopping.
All right, let's move on to our final trailer, Final Destination Bloodlines. Again, you were here for the first trailer. We have now the second trailer.
Yeah, so we get way more in this. I'm very excited for Final Destination Bloodlines. They kind of got their speed in 3 when they played the Rube Goldberg, things that fall on things that fall on things that cause a death, and they've gone like, oh yeah, people aren't that fussed about the teenagers, they just want to see a creative kill.
Mousetrap.
Essentially, yeah, they just want to see a big mousetrap. I really like the idea in this one. So the premise is around the 50s or 60s, at the top of a Seattle Space Needle style fancy party.
I think it is literally the Space Needle.
It looks like it's kind of like a Fantastic Four 60s retro future style, because it looks like it's more of a private. It doesn't look like it's in the middle of Seattle. It looks more private. But either way, there's a glass dance hall which collapses, and it appears that the rest of the tower has some severe structural issues from that collapse. But this premonition has happened 60 years ago. And in that time, the woman who didn't go there and survive that premonition has had children and grandchildren who are now all on death's you shouldn't exist list.
Death is finally getting around to coming for them.
Yeah, they've been at the bottom of Death's in tray for decades. Death's finally getting around to them. The thing with horror, it's the same story again and again and again. And it can be quite difficult to be like, oh yeah, they have a premonition and they evade it and then they catch up with them. So to find a new angle on it, and I think that's really fun. It can also spread out as well. I'm assuming they're going to want to tie this into the other Final Destinations. Maybe Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character could have been a cousin or something, or maybe the father was a nurse in a hospital and he helped give birth to Thingy, so they can also tie it into the saga as well. I'm sure there'll be bits of that because tie-in and cameo and stuff is what you do. But I think that's a really clever way of bringing the franchise back, and looks like they're really going, we know what you want. The teaser showed a guy in a tattoo parlor get his nose ring caught in a ceiling fan. In this one, there's a shard of glass in someone's drink, and you think they're going to drink it, but it falls out the glass, a guy stands on it, falls over, and then he gets a lawnmower to the face. And I was like, this is brilliant, perfect. Superman still, that'd be the one movie I'd see this year, but if it wasn't Superman, day one, IMAX, blood and guts, I want to see this movie. I think this looks really fun.
We'll sort out going to see that in May when it comes out.
Exactly, yeah. I will be. Front seat, 3D glasses on, big box of popcorn.
You don't want to be front seat in the IMAX because you won't see anything.
No, not front seat, but yeah.
The optimal seats.
I want to be in this, what would be the splatter zone in a gimmick theatre where they like, throw a bucket of blood at you and you're like, yeah.
My notes are, don't go near ice when you've broken a glass. That's just dumb.
Yeah, I work in hospitality. Basic rules. If a glass shatters, don't just wipe the table, be like, oh, I'll be fine. Next to this big bucket of thing that looks also like glass. But also, it's a party, and people have probably had a couple of drinks, whatever. But yeah, don't do that. Also, really obvious shot of glass. I know the camera's quite close into the drink, but it's sticking right out there like a shark's fin. It's not at the bottom of the glass or anything.
Yeah, it's also a red herring, isn't it? If you've seen a Final Destination movie before, you'll know that the thing that they're drawing your attention to isn't the thing that's going to kill them. It's the thing that you haven't even thought about.
It's not the thing, yeah. Also, don't leave your mower plugged in. Mower safety, unplug your mower, just in case a broom hits it and it hits your face or whatever.
Yeah, it's the Darwin Awards here, isn't it? It's just Darwinism.
It is, yeah.
That's what's killing them.
In the most hilarious way possible.
Yeah. Another note is, looks like a good variety of kills, which we've covered. Also, a brief shot of Tony Todd in the trailer, R.I.P.
Yeah.
This could be his final role, I don't know. Or maybe he's recording a bunch of voice roles that we're going to see at some point, or hear at some point.
Is he the mysterious guy? Which one's Tony Todd?
He's the guy with the awesome voice. The black guy with the awesome voice.
He's probably the Grim Reaper guy. Or is this the vibe I get from his Deathstalk Trevor? It's probably that guy, the guy with the voice of death, the voice of eternity. It's probably the Grim Reaper right there.
Plus he played Candyman, so there's coding there as well, in terms of what people would expect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think it looks super fun.
Should be a blast.
Exactly.
All right, that's us done with trailers. Let's move on to some brief news bits. And I know it's waiting for us to talk about the thing that you're wanting us to talk about is like watching a conveyor belt of chairs drifting slowly past your eyes as you watch your day evaporate. Will you think of all the better things you could be doing rather than watching static chairs that change every 20 minutes? We will get there, I promise.
You can skip to the chairs if you want, but in case you don't want to, we can also talk about...
First piece of news is about an actor that wasn't announced for that thing that you want us to talk about, but should we? Or maybe not, actually. She wasn't that good in Quantumania. But it wasn't her fault because the film's bad and she's not bad. But Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania actor Catherine Newton is going to be in the sequel to Ready or Not. She joins returning star Samara Weaving in the movie directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, I don't know. The original Ready or Not scribes are also back, Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murray. The first film follows a young bride, played by Weaving, as she joins her new husband, Mark O'Brien's rich, eccentric family, Adam Brody, Henry Cerny, Andy McDowell, in a time-honoured tradition that turned into a lethal game with everyone fighting for their survival. Lethal game of hide and seek. Ready or Not was really good.
Yeah, I know you've talked highly about it before, just being a fun concept and a decent gory movie.
Yeah, I don't know that there's scope for a sequel, but I guess we'll find out. I'm interested in the fact that Catherine Newton's in it because she's really good, and at least we got one girlfriend watch, so to speak, in this short news episode, so I was happy to see that. So I'll give us a watch, because I'll watch anything that Catherine Newton's in, although I still haven't seen Lisa Frankenstein. It's something I do need to remedy at some point.
Okay.
And you should watch the first Ready or Not. I think you would have fun with it.
I've only heard good things, so I'll probably get around to it.
Watch a bunch of horror movies in the lead up to Final Destination. Get yourself in the zone.
Yeah, so we've just been talking about silly kill movies, and well, this is also another silly kill movie, so probably worth me checking out.
The next piece we have, very confusing decision has been made here. A new Starship Troopers movie is in the works from District 9 filmmaker Neil Blomkamp. It's very strange, this news, because it's something that I think, oh god, no, and oh good, because I like Neil Blomkamp. I think he's a very interesting filmmaker, but I also don't think there's any need to do another Starship Troopers because totally nailed it the first time.
So is it a case of if they have to make one, you'd rather it be Neil Blomkamp over anyone else?
Yeah, but it might not happen as well because Neil Blomkamp was up for an Alien thing at one point and various other things that never materialised, so who knows. But he also seemed to be one of those directors that actually managed to get his original sci-fi movies made. So you had things like Chappie, which I actually like. You had District 9. You had Elysium, which I didn't like. But it's remarkable that in an era of franchising, he was getting original movies made. And now he's a failed Alien director because they took it off him. And now he's going to do Starship Troopers. The Paul Verhoeven movie is perfect. It's an amazing send-up of fascism in a really satirical way. So it very thinly disguises itself as a rah-rah action movie. God Bless America type action movie. But under the surface, they're laughing at fascists.
Yeah, big muscles, big guns sort of thing.
So I don't know what Neil Blomkamp would do with that. I know that the actual novel is far more right-wing than the movie was. So it's kind of unironically right-wing.
Fascists are back, I guess, so it's time to poke fun at them again.
Yeah, it's just depressing that, God, we're doing another one of these. We're doing another one of thing that was made before instead of making new thing.
There's always that. It's just one of those things, I suppose. And it can be a bit annoying when it's like, oh, they're doing that one, are they? And there's certain ones that everyone's like, oh, I know they will make, say, Back to the Future 4. Nobody wants it, but eventually it'll happen. It's one of those sort of ones.
Well, that's literally over Zemeckis' dead body. So the day after he dies, they'll probably commission it.
There's lots like that. Again, with these, studios can be leaning into what's an established popular thing that we can have another go at, regardless of whether it needs another go.
Most things don't, but you did it perfectly the first time, and then there was a bunch of forgettable direct-to-DVD sequels that I haven't seen. It's just disheartening that, oh great, we're getting another reboot of this thing that was perfect before.
Yeah. Has it been an example of something that's gone like, oh, we don't need another one, and then the second one came out and is like, actually, that is an amazing addition?
Well, this would specifically be a reboot, I guess, or a different adaptation of the novel, but Top Gun Maverick would be an example of the long-delayed sequel.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. I knew there was one. I was like, I can't remember what it is.
There is a few, but it's relatively rare. And
yeah,
when you look at, say, the RoboCop reboot that they did a few years ago, that was dreadful and was completely forgotten about. Total Recall, not great either. We don't need this. Even if it is Neil Blomkamp. He did, well, you mentioned it earlier, he did Gran Turismo as well.
Okay, yeah.
So he's good. So that gives me some hope for it, but also I'm wondering what could be the angle and how could you do it?
Yeah, like you said though, this might not happen. In talks to do this and all that, he was originally going to make an Alien and didn't, so it may never actually come to pass. So could all be a scary couple of hours, as Moses would say.
Yeah. Speaking of things that we should be worried about, the James Bond franchise has found its producers in Amy Pascal and David Heyman. The duo have been tapped by Amazon MGM to steer the new Bond film, the first to be produced by someone outside the Broccoli family. It's kind of worrying. Amy Pascal, the producer of the Spider-Man villain universe.
I don't hate this. I'm a big James Bond fan, rare for the podcast. You can tick it on as number 2 of the 3 things or 4 things that I've heard of or have seen in this episode. I do love James Bond. And yeah, I know they said that they've got the producers and it's the producers behind. Not the best things, but producers, they don't necessarily make, well, they make some sort of creative decisions, but they could just the budget people. With James Bond as a franchise, I always feel like there's never a really solid run of good to good to good. Certainly not within a very long time. A lot of the franchises, it's glory days with the Sean Connery, Roger Moore era. Everyone's like, that was the golden era of James Bond. Speaking as a Pierce Brosnan man myself, that was the golden era for me. Usually each Bond will get maybe half good, half bad. That's a lucky streak. You might get more bad than good. So it doesn't feel as much as, oh no, they're going to ruin the franchise, or oh no, this is worrying for me, because the Broccoli's kind of did a lot of that anyway. They made Quantum of Solace and Spectre, but you got No Time to Die. But it was never a given that a James Bond film would be a good one. It was a nice treat to get a good one.
But at least they kept it away from being the sludge that Amazon are going to turn it into, because you're going to have M Origins and Moneypenny and whatever.
Yeah, there'll be Moneypenny Origins, M Origins, 009, whatever stuff. But it also means they could give Bond movie to a passionate person who makes a really good one. It feels like we're on about the same level of chance of getting a good Bond movie as we used to be. But it's going to happen in less than 10 years. After No Time to Die, I did feel like it'd be another Dalton to Brosnan 9-year wait, but usually between the Bonds, quite an extended gap. I always like these movies, and I'm at the moment staying quite optimistic. Obviously, nothing has been announced. There's no new Bond, no new director. We've just got some producers, but I don't think this is as doom and gloom as it could be. It's just good getting some Bond, and it feels like the current hit rate is about the same. So I'm quite excited, to be honest. In terms of producers, there's a lot of stuff I don't really understand too much about the making of movies. I'm just a popcorn munching film goer. It's like, yeah, the film looked good, I'll go watch. So I'm kind of optimistic that it could be a good Bond actor. Sure, they'll make some trash, but like Star Wars, maybe this will be an Andor. It might be a really good one. I might get a person who just has a really fresh idea or just does a very iconic Bond movie. And sure, yeah, there'll be like the Moneypenny show and the Q show and whatever, but I'm probably just going to watch the Bond movies. I probably won't watch the Young Bond Adventures or Behind the Scenes with Blofeld or whatever, or the Office comedy with Spectre. I'm going to watch the Bond movies, and this still feels like it's the same ratio of there being a good one that it's always kind of been. Or at least that's the attitude I'm going forward with. I'm not going to dive straight into sort of doom play. Also, I've seen a lot of that as well. Oh, a big conglomerate's bought it. It tends to not be a good sign, but at the moment, I'm going to stay optimistic. I think it's a kind of franchise where it's always a bit hit and miss. So it's about the same level of hit chance that it could be as it would have been with the Broccolis, I think.
Fair enough. That's more optimistic than I am, but I think my reaction to it is more down to just how fed up I am of the franchising model at the moment in terms of everything just being diluted until it's nothing. And I feel like that's going to happen to Bond. It looks more likely that Aaron Taylor-Johnson will get cast as Bond now because of Amy Pascal's involvement.
It also depends on whether they would like to commit to that or what they want to commit to as well.
Yeah. Did you read the thing that Jeff Bezos said about Barbara Broccoli?
Yeah, the most Bond villain thing.
She was calling the people at Amazon morons because of all the stuff they were pitching. And he said, I don't care what it costs, get rid of her.
Yeah, which is pure from his volcano lair style thing. That's the last we'll be seeing of Broccoli, and then a tarantula is released into her office, or a laser slides slowly up a table, or a dart fires from somewhere.
Yeah, that's very funny.
And certainly I'm not a Jeff Bezos fan or an Amazon fan, but it doesn't necessarily mean they'll give it to a hack who phones it in. I'm going to stay optimistic that James Bond's quite an influential thing. The spy genre kind of came from, say, the 50s, and Bond was a massive start to that. And it'll have its fans, and there'll be people who want to make really good ones, and they might get them.
Until it becomes a sea of content that no one cares about anymore.
I mean, there's a sea of content, but there's always that. I think going forward, especially in this kind of thingy as well, is be very selective. You don't have to watch every Star Wars show. Pick the one you want.
I'm already at that, even with Marvel as well.
Even with Marvel, yeah, you pick your options. You definitely don't watch because, yeah, it's just too much for everyone. Q may mention something in the Bond movie. Oh, yeah, I've also been looking into this on my show, the way they'll tie in that universe stuff. But you can figure it out. You don't have to watch everything. As much as they want us to watch everything.
But the problem with them sinking resources into these franchise spin-off things, it just means that they're not putting resources into making other stuff. So you just end up with loads of Bond stuff, and then there's another thing, whatever it might be, that will never get made that was more original.
That would probably happen, whether it was Bond or something else. There'll been 1,000 original great scripts that will have fallen to the wayside of, I don't know, Reacher, or I'm trying to think of a franchise, Toy Story 5, whatever. There'll be millions of them, so it won't just be on this. Oh yeah, now they'll do this.
It's not entirely the Bond thing, but it's the latest in that line of...
It's the latest in the line, like we're saying about Back to the Future. Everything will get bought up and franchised. That's just what they do. But I think the way to look at it, or the way I'm choosing to look at these things, if it's a franchise I like, worst case scenario, they make a Bond film that's a bit miss, and I don't watch the other stuff. Best case scenario, I get a good one. And I think that's the only way to approach movie news at the moment, or the only way to get excited about films. Oh yeah, there could be another one.
Maybe you'll be right. Let's hope so.
Maybe. Anything can be good, as he said about all the Sony Marvel movies. They could have been.
They could have been. They weren't, but they could have been.
At any time they could have chosen to do a good one, they just thought, oh, actually, we're on a roll. We'll just keep messing them up.
Okay, well, let's go and talk about some DC stuff now. In the James Gunniverse, or maybe adjacent to it, who knows. Colin Farrell, who was the Penguin, is now in negotiations to return to the world of DC to play Sergeant Rock in the movie of the same name, directed by Luca Guadagnino, of all people. This move comes after Daniel Craig, who circled the feature project, officially stepped away and is now thinking about going to appear in Greta Gerwig's Narnia Netflix stuff. No offer was ever made to Daniel Craig, they were just in talks, and now Colin Farrell, I guess, is in talks.
The first time I've heard of Sergeant Rock was the Daniel Craig news. I'm assuming he's a pulpy, gruff war guy.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure about Sergeant Rock, to be honest, but the thing is, I'm more interested in things like you've got Luca Guadagnino making a Sergeant Rock movie, you have Flanagan doing Clayface.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting directors getting involved in stuff, and James Gunn talked about how not everything's going to be mega budgeted, so you could have this Sergeant Rock movie made for 30 million and then suddenly it makes 5 times the budget and it's a massive success.
I think there always will be ones like, for example, Clayface and Mick Flanagan, is it?
Mike Flanagan, yeah.
Mike Flanagan. That's it for me. I happen to have watched, I think it was For the House of Usher, like the Mike Flanagan show, a little bit of one of his haunted shows, and I know who Clayface is. So I'm obviously going to be like, oh, more appeal to that, whereas I'm not familiar with the director or the character of Sergeant Rock. So while there will be these ones, with a lot of it, I'll have to see a trailer before I can come to things. As you said, it's nice that James Gunn or the DC world is leaning towards either characters that aren't as often used, or they're asking, if you were making a DC movie, what would you like to make? Instead of saying, you've got Wonder Woman, for example. Like, oh yeah, Mike Flanagan, what would you like to make? I'd like to make a Clayface movie. I have this idea. Perfect.
I can make it for 40 million. Sold.
Yeah, have fun with it. Do whatever you want, get Daniel Radcliffe if you want, which is a refreshing way as opposed to what we assume is Disney is like, hey, you're doing Spider-Man 4, you cut this and this and this is your script, this is your baddie sort of thing. It feels like the DC move is a little bit more into creative control and things being right first. Okay, get the script great, plan it all out, we'll make it. It seems to be what should be the obvious way of making films. So what's the director done?
He did Challengers.
I've not seen that, but I heard that was very good.
The Daniel Craig connection comes from Queer, which he also did.
Oh yeah, that was this year? Or was it last year?
Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
And then Challengers was the year before. So he's in the zeitgeist. People like what he does. And
yeah,
it's an interesting choice. Of course, Superman might flop in July, and then all of this gets binned.
Yeah, if the boycott goes to plan.
Yeah, but I did read that Warner Brothers are essentially hinging everything on the success of Superman, which is just madness. They're just betting an entire studio on the success of one movie.
Yes, this gamble better pay off. I mean, it looks good. I think it'll be fine.
But it's when they talk about the ballooning budgets of certain things. Brave New World, for example, was made for 350 million or whatever, and it's like you could have made 10 smaller budgeted movies for that kind of stuff.
All these chairs are like $60 a go. We've got heaps of them.
I'd had to get a small one, which was a custom job.
Yeah. Do it again next time, and it'll be like those plastic garden chairs. It's just written on a Sharpie. It's like,
Or it'll be the same ones, and they've crossed out the names and written other names.
Yeah.
So, Sergeant Rock, cool. It's one of those things, maybe it's not a character that people are immediately interested in, but neither was Iron Man.
Yeah, neither was the Guardians of the Galaxy until they did a good one. So he's got a track record for taking nobody characters and making them into the most well-known characters. So keep doing that.
All right, well, we're going to get to the thing that we've been teasing all episode now, but we're not there yet. We're going to take a detour.
Oh, yeah.
Stranger Things star Sadie Sink has been cast in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4.
I want to talk about the chairs, but we have to talk about Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
I forgot about this news story. It's like, oh yeah, it's time. It's chair time. Oh no, it's not.
It's unclear who Sadie Sink will play in the movie, although her role is significant, and the rumour is that she might be playing Jean Grey. Also, people have naturally said maybe she's Mary Jane Watson because she has red hair, but that can't be because Michelle Jones Watson is Zendaya's character, so it's not going to happen. I think there's an undercurrent of racism to people being like, we want traditional Mary Jane Watson. You already have Zendaya. She's good enough. More than good enough.
Yeah, it's a thin excuse. Oh, but is Zendaya popular? She only has the one name, Zendaya. She's that popular.
Is she popular enough? Let's think about her music career. Let's think about her acting career.
Yeah, her name is fine. Don't worry about that. A lot of it is down to that. It's always the ugly side of, I wonder why they're saying this.
She might just be a girl that Peter goes to college with or something.
She could be, but in terms of let's have fun speculating, I'm going to throw my hat in. I think it'd be great if Squirrel Girl showed up in these. Squirrel Girl's super fun. She can communicate with squirrels and she has squirrel strength. And she's undefeatable. That's her power. I just always win. She's beaten Thanos and Galactus and everyone just because, well, she's the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And the joke was her stories would start with, oh, well, you did it again, Squirrel Girl. You saved the universe from the combined hordes of whatever. I always think that's really fun. It won't be Squirrel Girl, but I'm always like, I hope they do a Squirrel Girl soon.
It's unlikely, yeah.
It's unlikely. Jean Grey is probably the most likely, or a rogue, or annex person. A mutant, I think, is probably the most likely.
There's also plenty of Spider-Man characters she could be playing.
She could be a Felicia Hardy.
Yeah, Jackpot, maybe, who's not Mary Jane, but kind of looks like her.
She could be that annoying person from Insomniac Spider-Man games who has a podcast or a Twitch streamer, which could...
Oh, yeah. Screwball.
Screwball. I think it'd be someone. She could also be just another character like Ned. It doesn't have to necessarily be a villain or another hero. It could just be, oh yeah, that's just Peter Parker's new mate.
Yeah, and for the villain for this movie as well, I've just remembered, but I'll put it in the notes. They're looking to cast a woman between the ages of 30 and 50.
Yeah, so a slightly older woman. This feels like, my Spider-Man knowledge isn't too great, but maybe like a Silver Sable.
Maybe, yeah.
Kind of fit that one. Or there's probably other ones that I'm not aware of.
Or the Spider Queen thing from the Spider Island arc.
Could be Madam Web again.
Yeah.
We're trying that again.
I feel like the Spider-Man movie, they're going to lean into the it's really big in multiversy again, rather than street level.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be any of them. It could be Enchantress. We don't know.
This is a rumour, but apparently this movie is going to take place during the events of Avengers Doomsday, and that means Tom Holland will not appear in the movie at all.
Yeah, I know he's busy with the Odyssey. And I know there was, in between the two other Marvel middles, there was Captain Marvel and Ant-Man, which were both essentially not connected. They were sort of standalone. It was happening around the time. So even if this one is in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, it doesn't necessarily have to be on Secret Wars planet or whatever the story they do with it. Because again, those movies did really well. And not to discredit the merit of those movies, but a lot of it was, well, there was that massive cliffhanger last time, so people want to know what's happening. And it could be another one. It's like, oh, we'll put a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man's popular. It'll be bang in the middle of these two movies. It's more of a cynical way of looking at it, but interest in Marvel, they're hoping it'll be at an all-time high. So great time to bring out Spider-Man 4. It could be connected to whatever they're doing with Doctor Doom, but assuming that Doomsday ends on another universe-shattering cliffhanger compared to the snap, it would be a bit of a weird left turn to be like, oh, Spider-Man has something to say about this in the middle. But again, with the age bracket, someone around Tom Holland's age, or it's a character that's skewed more young, so it could bind into a new love interest, or a character that's sort of similar if, say, Spider-Man's in college, following on from the last one. Is he going to Boston?
No, he was thinking about it, but he ended up in New York.
Yeah, so he's still in New York, so it could be just someone new he meets and what he's currently doing.
Could be Gwen Stacy.
Could be Gwen Stacy. There's all sorts it could be.
This is official casting, and the casting call for the villain is also as official as it gets, I think, at this stage.
Yeah, the villain's a little bit more, because you can go with the roster of at least Spider-Man, or not necessarily just Spider-Man villains, but ones that Spider-Man can have a fair go at. Again, they could be gender flipped as well. It could be, is it the Tinkerer?
Tinkerer's more of a supporting villain rather than an actual villain. Also, I think the Tinkerer's in Homecoming. He's one of Vulture's guys.
Oh, maybe, yeah, it's one of Vulture's guys. But it could be that sort of case where it could be Norma Osborn or something like that. There's other stuff you can do where it could be anyone.
Female Scorpion, they could do that.
Yeah, there's lots they could do. Was it Olivia or Octavia?
Alicia Smythe, they could do that.
Oh, it could be Smythe. They got Slug Shoulders Smythe.
Yeah.
Could be a Kingpin agent. Could be anything, really. Probably around, was it D23, Disney's thing? I imagine we'll get news around then. I don't think it'll be too long for us to have to wait.
Yeah, they'll probably make more announcements pretty soon. Because they'll be starting shooting Spider-Man soon anyway.
Yeah, probably.
They've already started shooting. The next thing we're going to talk about, Tom Holland might not be in this, but we're going to tell you a few people that definitely are. Avengers Doomsday, they had a big reveal event where they streamed for 5 hours, 27 minutes and some seconds, showing chairs with names on them. Basically, you would wait 15 minutes and it would move to the next chair, and some people watched it for the entire 5.5 hours and then complained about the fact that they watched it for the 5.5 hours, where you could just keep up with it easily in other ways. And then they released the 2-minute video at the end that summarizes it, which I thought was really funny. But we have a bunch of returning cast, people like Chris Hemsworth, Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez is there, Sebastian Stan's there, Paul Rudd, Tom Hiddleston's back, which people might be excited about. This different Loki meets Thor, sparks might fly, who knows. Letitia Wright, she'll be there, M'Baku.
Yeah, essentially name someone who you assume is going to be in Avengers.
Well, there's a lot of names left off, actually.
There's a lot of names left off. They have hinted that this is only the first line of chairs.
Yeah, I'm not going to call these surprises because I wasn't surprised at all, but we have some returning people from different universes, from different continuities, such as Kelsey Grammer, who's already appeared actually, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen's going to be there, Alan Cumming, back as Nightcrawler presumably, Channing Tatum of course, and interestingly, there's a lack of women announced for this film, really. There's hardly any.
Yeah, 5 out of the 27 were women.
Yeah, so you've got Rebecca Romaine and Letitia Wright, as we already mentioned, a couple others, Vanessa Kirby, etc.
The one surprise I had, I was like, oh, Namor's in it. I think I just forgot about him. I was like, oh, he was pretty cool. That was the one where I was like, oh, Namor's in it.
Isn't the actor a wrong-in, though?
Can't remember, probably.
Similar to Jonathan Majors, there was some severe sexual assault allegations.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. They'll have checked. Speaking of the Kelsey Grammer one, because at the time, obviously, memes are happening, I was hooked on the chairs instantly. I think at first I was like, what's this? And I was at work, so I was working till 7:30, and the stream started at 3:30, and I ran my battery dry. My phone's at 15%. I won't be able to get through all of it, but I want to see the chairs move is my main thing. Does it just flash or do they pan? So I'd be like, okay, what's going on? I'd make coffee. Oh, the chairs are still there. And I'd follow people on internet and watch the numbers climb. People are going like, what's happening with these chairs? And obviously there was loads of memes. People like Feathers McGraw's going to be in it. Bob the Builder's going to be in it. And you sent me one, Kelsey Grammer's back. I was like, oh yeah, Frasier. And I thought it was a joke. And then I saw it, I was like, why is Kelsey Grammer in? Because I'd forgotten he was the Beast, the X-Men one.
Even though he was in the Marvel's post-credit scene.
Well, I'd forgotten he was the Beast, and I think I just forgot about that. That was a terrible post-credits. And I think I just erased from my memory. And we also watched Frasier when we lived together. So I thought you were just being funny. Oh yeah, Kelsey Grammer. And then I went on the thing. Oh no, it is Kelsey Grammer. Why is Money Plains own Kelsey Grammer showing up? And I was like, oh yeah. And then I saw like the discussing films, like he was Beast.
Well, I had a similar reaction to Alan Cumming. I was like, who is he? Oh yeah, Nightcrawler.
The upcoming character, Mr. Ring-a-Ding in Doctor Who, or James the First. I was like, what's he going to be? Oh yeah, he was Nightcrawler. There was either lots of oh yes or who's that. There was a point where I kind of got annoyed at it, and it was the Tom Hiddleston one. I think the ending of Loki Series 2 is such a wonderful end. I was like, I really, really hope we never see Loki again. Any Loki, spoilers for Loki Series 2, where he becomes essentially the god of stories that Loki is always destined to be.
Holding the multiverse together.
Holding the multiverse together in the style of the Yggdrasil tree. That's amazing. What a way to end this legacy of this character Loki's been in since Thor. He's had all these adventures, Avengers and stuff. Brilliant character. Tom Hiddleston loves it. Great actor. What a pitch perfect way. What a Logan style way to end this. I'm really glad some characters are just allowed to end in a bittersweet way. And then I saw Tom Hiddleston like, oh, of course, Tom Hiddleston. Don't want to see Tom Hiddleston. So that sent me a grump. I then also got grumpy because I was quite looking forward to Thunderbolts. And they just told us they're all fine.
Except one.
I wouldn't want to be Taskmaster right now. At first I was like, why are they just spoiling stuff? But then I was making more coffees and I was up in, I was like, what are the chairs up to? Where are we at with the chairs? Precious battery life. I was like, oh my god, they've just announced Vanessa Kirby or something. I was like, oh cool. And then I'd be doing stuff and I'd be seeing people making memes like, oh, show me the chairs, what's happening with the chairs and stuff. And I was working home and my battery died at 5. I worked till 7:30. I got home at 8. I was like, what's happening with the chairs? Straight on, online. It's the most I've thought about Marvel since 2019. I was like, oh, these chairs have got to me. I'm so invested in what the chair's going to be. And I was like, I'll put it on live. So this was Danny Ramirez, I think. And then it was Pedro Pascal. I was making my tea. I was like, I'll put the chairs on in the background. So I was just making food to this ominous noise and the name Pedro Pascal on a chair. So I was live for the scene where Robert Downey Jr. walked out to his chair and took the seat. I was like, why did you ever announce? I went back and watched, in comparison, the lamest reveal of Robert Downey Jr. ever, where it's just a bunch of people in green cloaks like, it's me, I'm Dr. Doom. Imagine if they didn't say that at all. This doesn't say that he's playing Doom. They don't reveal that any of these characters are playing the characters. We just assume that Ian McKellen's Magneto. He might not be. He might be playing, I don't know, some guy. But the wildfire it would have been if it just turned, oh, Robert Downey Jr., he sits there, he does a shush, no other news. Iron Man must be back. That would have been insane. The fever pitch that would have been, the last name is the Marvel guy, Robert Downey Jr., who kicked it all off. The final name, the big reveal. Oh, he's returning. Later on, they would reveal that he's playing Doom. But initially, that would have been insane. Oh my god, Robert Downey Jr. is back. He's here. He's shown up at the end of this arduous thing. And I was like, oh, why did you ever get him on stage in a Doctor Doom mask and a green suit and a cloak and say new mask, same task? And we're all like, what? What do you mean? Why did you not have this idea a year ago? Now, yeah, there are lots of omissions, notably Tom Holland being one. There's quite a lot. It's one of those ones where you remember them and you remember more. So, like, oh, War Machine's not mentioned. I think Brie Larson's not mentioned. Any of the young Avengers cast. Any young characters not mentioned. As you said, there's 5 women, but then there's no Wasp, there's no Scarlet Witch, for example. So it is a stacked run. It is, I think, 27 chairs. And as you were saying, long film, I guess, for these guys to all be in it.
Is it going to be as long as the chair reveal?
And I think everyone had their own personal, I was hoping this name would come up. Like, I'm a Captain Marvel fan. I was like, which is going to be the Brie Larson chair? And then Brie Larson doesn't show up. I was like, I hope she's in it. She might not be, but I mean, she's in London now doing a stage show, which is very good, apparently. So she could show up, but I think everyone had that one of, you've announced Ian McKellen, you've announced Patrick Stewart, come on, Hugh Jackman or whatever, or like, come on, something. So I did see also an outpouring of, cool, or interesting, or hey, we're all talking about Marvel again. But everyone also had where was that chair? I can't think of another example. Ryan Reynolds.
Everyone's favourite Marvel character, played by James Marsden. Everyone loves Cyclops.
Everyone loves Cyclops. And there's a lot of also, I was Googling, I was like, are they a new one? Oh no, that was Mystique from a while ago before Jennifer Lawrence did it. I'm sure people are like, is James McAvoy going to be there? I guess the thing we're dancing on all over the show, yeah, the X-Men are back in the boring way.
Not the new X-Men that we're going to do, it's the old guys that you know already.
Yeah, it's another worry. Please don't just do the old guys again. Please do new X-Men. I know a lot of people want to get this name wrong as well. I'm bad with names. Giancarlo Esposito. I know he wants to be Professor X.
Yeah, but instead he's a forgettable character in Brave New World.
No, he's King Serpent or something.
Sidewinder.
But he could be Professor X as well. I know a lot of people wanted the Legion guys, or Catherine Hayne can show up or something. People want everything, but we've got the original cinematic X-Men team, mostly, but we can assume more of them are showing up in what essentially is going to be a Marvel versus X-Men battle it out until Doom shows up at the end sort of thing.
Well, it's called Doomsday. I'm hoping that Doom would be in it, but more than that.
Doom will be in it, but I'm assuming his initial thing is, I'm going to get Earth's mightiest heroes from this universe and Earth's mightiest heroes from this universe to fight, is presumably what Doomsday is going to be about, or at least for a distraction. The setting up Doom is such a powerful, I know him a little bit, but he's a very powerful character.
Oh, he's the most powerful, yeah.
He's the most powerful. He's the sort of person, he can wipe the floor with Hawkeye. It's probably not going to do a great deal of damage against him or whatever. So you have to build up the presence of Doom.
Well, he's supposed to be an intellectual equal with Reed Richards, but in this, people are going to be more interested in what Tom Holland's Peter Parker will think when he sees his face.
Yeah, there's going to be that. Everyone's that sort of the thing of, hopefully it's not just a Tony Stark that's evil, because it's a bit boring.
I actually think it would be better if it was a Tony Stark that's evil from a different universe, because if you're going to do this, the person that built this universe, effectively, is the one that's now tearing it apart, then it would be better to do, say, Superior Iron Man or a riff on that, rather than him as Doctor Doom. But I have a lot of issues with this. So you've got 27 names of actors that are appearing in this film, right? And each of these chairs got, 12 to 15 minutes in this stream?
Around 12 to 15 minutes.
Which is way more screen time than they will end up getting in the film itself, because there's so many characters here. How are they going to get anything more than, say, 5 seconds of screen time?
Yeah, New Falcon's not going to be having a monologue.
Yeah.
I think he'll just be in the background shooting a gun.
Well, one thing I'm thinking is these X-Men characters, for example. Do you remember when the CW did their Crisis on Infinite Earths on TV? And they were announcing, we've got Burt Ward, we've got all these people in this, we've got whatever.
Yeah, we've got Kevin Conroy's going to be Batman, all that sort of stuff.
And it amounts to most of them show up for 5 seconds until their universe gets blown up. It's a cameo, and that was all it ever was going to be. It feels like that might be what it is here.
Probably, yeah.
So you may love these actors playing these characters, but can you hope that they're going to get anything substantial to do? Because it just seems too unwieldy for one film. Also, who are your leads in this film? Because you watch the Infinity Saga and you get to Infinity War and you have an idea of who's going to anchor the film.
Well, yeah, the assumption based on Doctor Doom is that the leaders are the Fantastic Four, but no one's met them yet.
Yeah, so we have no hype. For the Infinity Saga, where we're always focused on Cap, Thor, and Iron Man as your leads throughout that saga. And then when you get to the end points, Infinity War and Endgame, you're still following those guys. So every other character sort of orbits them. Even in Infinity War, when you had the disparate groups, off doing different things, you'd be focusing on specific characters within those groups. But I don't know what the angle is here. We haven't had any build-up whatsoever. Shang-Chi's in this movie. This will be his second appearance. It's crazy. So there's no hype for me. There's no sense of a through line whatsoever. I have no idea what this film is or who it's going to be about. When I didn't know what Infinity War was about, I still knew it was going to be focusing on those characters. I knew who our leads were. But we don't have any leads now. So that was a problem.
No, and it'd be really funny if Fantastic Four, the new one's awful. Oh no. We were banking on this. I don't think that's... Because at the moment, the Avengers movies you watch on the IMAX and you have popcorn at midnight or whatever. I know there isn't currently a lead. The Avengers isn't really led, I guess it's by Anthony Mackie, but it's not really clear.
Well, no, because he's only appeared once since Endgame, really. Twice, if you include the show.
Yeah, that's only really going on. Captain America led them in the past, so assumably Captain America will continue to do so. But we don't know. We don't know anything.
We don't know who the Avengers are even, so we don't know who he'd be leading.
Yeah, I'm not personally that I was like, okay, there's all these names in my head. I'm like, oh, assumably they're all Avengers up under something, whether or not be following a specific character. And there obviously are ones like, say, Spider-Man, Captain America, some that are more universally popular for example. People love these guys. They'll probably take center stage, probably just based on because they're well-known focus characters.
Maybe, but we don't know though, which is the problem.
I wouldn't say that's, for me, a problem at the moment. We've seen enough of these to kind of get... The Avengers are just a gang. Whether it follows one, it may just follow Doom. It may be more Doom-focused, and then these are just these guys he meets. We don't really know too much. So I'm not too worried about it not currently having a lead and just having an ensemble. I don't mind that too much.
Another issue I've got is we don't know what dynamics to look forward to because we haven't seen any of those grow when you get to, again, Infinity War Endgame. You've seen the Avengers a couple of times, so you know what it's like when Stark interacts with certain characters and Cap interacts with certain characters and so on. But here it's just, who knows?
I know, but that's the bit I liked. I didn't like the first Avengers, but then with the follow-ups, oh yeah, here's Captain America meeting Groot. Oh, that's pretty fun. Oh, Thor meets the Guardians, or Captain Marvel meets Iron Man and Endgame and stuff. I like these. I like when it's just, oh, these guys are together now.
But you need to have a sense of who those people are for that to work. And with characters like Shang-Chi and so on, you just don't because you haven't seen enough of them. Or in your case, you haven't seen any of them, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shang-Chi, for example, or we haven't seen the Fantastic Four as of yet, so we don't know what this Mr. Fantastic's going to be like, or this thing is going to be like. But I also quite like the sort of gimmick of, oh yeah, we're going to divide them off into little gangs. They're still characters that are the characters that are of literature. So we haven't seen much of this Shang-Chi, or we haven't seen this thing and stuff. It's a fun system to like, oh yeah, those two, they're doing a mission, or Letitia Wright's Black Panther is teaming up with Thor. I still find it a little fun, although I don't know this interpretation of the character. They don't vary too wildly, and it's we can sort of get a sense, okay, you can kind of see how they interact together where you may not have met them. You could have gone into Infinity War, and you haven't seen Doctor Strange, but you have seen Spider-Man. You're like, oh, okay, well, I like Spider-Man. This is his wizard friend, and they're doing this now for a bit. I think there's an element of you don't have to know them all. You don't have to be as invested with all of them. Same with things like the Marvels. We didn't really know. I forgot the character's name. The superhero name is, I think, Photon. Monica. She was essentially in a few episodes of WandaVision, and we had one Captain Marvel movie, we'd had one series of Miss Marvel, and we could get them together, but you didn't necessarily have to see Monica's the way that she just interacts with them kind of just develops throughout the Marvels. And so I wasn't too worried going into that film, oh, but we've not seen how this Miss Marvel and this Captain Marvel interact because we haven't seen them meet yet. And I can understand that, yeah, it feels rudderless because there's been no lead up. It's not an earned grand finale. It's just another big one because the Avengers movies are the big ones.
Yeah, it's like when they tell us that Fantastic Four is the start of Phase 6.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
But you aren't closing off the phases in any way. The last ones, it was an Avengers movie closes it off, whereas in this, it's just, we've decided that we're done with this phase now. Yeah,
that's all sort of meaningless. The behind the scenes has kind of evaporated a bit. But in terms of, it's a big Avengers, there's not been one, well, there won't have been one for around, this is out in 2027, I think. I think 27 and 28, so it'll have been 8 years since the last Avengers. So it'll gain a bit of a hype building up to it, the trailers and all this sort of stuff. So I'm not too worried about, we're not quite sure where it's currently heading. It's obviously had a course correction midway through with Jonathan Majors and Kang. That's all been changed around. There's been change around also with Marvel went into this as the biggest thing ever when it started off its TV empire, and it has lost audiences and lost interest from 2019 to now. So it's all not winding down, but people aren't on the pulse. They're not up to date with all the Marvel stuff.
And it's directed by people that haven't made a good movie since Endgame.
Yeah, they're not a great tracks. As much as our red flags those guys again, and it's this and that. It is also, a lot of people won't have seen this movie or this show because it hasn't got the draw power that it did when it went into Infinity War, where everyone seen everything. It was not just completionists or people who more engaged in superhero comics. Everyone went to see like Guardians 2 or whatever because it was a surefire hit. This was when Marvel essentially can't put a foot wrong. They're on such a hot streak that has been so lucky. So I think going into this anyway, a lot of people will be like, well, I haven't seen this character. We'll be going into this with a Fantastic Four who are traditionally the leading force. They're probably going to be the leading force against Doom if it's Reed Richards' equal. And a lot of people will not watch Fantastic Four because they'll be like, it's another one of them. They've missed a few.
Well, the people doing the Superman boycott are seeing that instead because it looks like a real movie.
They might remember the Fantastic Four from when they were kids or the Josh Trank one, but it's not a guarantee that people are definitely going to see Fantastic Four in the lead up to this because they know that the Avengers are going to lean heavily on this if it goes to the way of the comics. So I think there's a lot of that anyway, where it's not the case so much that it is, as in the previous ones, we're following Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, because we've been doing that for 10 years at this point. So I don't mind too much. It's just a big melting pot of everybody. And we'll find out, I guess. Leaders will be forged in the battle. Anthony Mackie's Cap. Okay, it's him. He's the guy with the ideas, or Reed Richards is the guy, or Professor X, or Magneto, and this guy have great chemistry. And it could be kind of fun. What if Magneto and Doctor Strange? It could be really fun. You could get the Illuminati going. So I kind of like that as well. As much as it is currently rudderless, it also means that anything can happen. So it also brings a little bit of, because I think one of the things going into Infinity War, I just didn't like the first Avengers. I watched it wrong. Essentially, I'd watched Iron Man 1 and nothing else. I went to this, I was like, I don't know what any of this is. And it felt kind of alienating. So I think that's the main reason I didn't like that movie. And Endgame, it is this sort of reward for the long time watch. Like people who've been there since the beginning and stuff. I've gone back into Marvel, moving in with you. So I think I watched Avengers 1 and then nothing until Doctor Strange, which I liked. Because that felt like a different one. I was like, this is magic. That's different. And then caught up afterwards. I've missed all this stuff. I missed Guardians. I've missed Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron and stuff. So when it did come to Infinity War and Endgame, as much as it is a Cap and Iron Man and Thor movie, I was like, Doctor Strange is my guy, and Captain Marvel's going to be in it, or Ant-Man's fun. And I was kind of like for the newer guys. So going into this, I'm not that in need of a structural, like this is the hero that leads the Avengers, or this is the driving force behind it. I'm kind of happy just going in and like, we'll just see how it pans out. I quite like the not knowing too much already, or the uncertainty of it, especially when you're going against someone who is the ultimate force in this universe. Doctor Doom is the ultimate challenge on a rudderless team. It's quite a David and Goliath sort of thing. We're going straight in. There's no plan. And we're up against essentially the devil. We have to sort of work it out. We have to figure out the team dynamic just as and when, just in the heat of the battle. And then you're throwing in different universes into the mix. And mutants are here now, and this guy can throw metal around. And everyone's just got to learn about everybody in the moment. So I'm also kind of excited that way as well. This Chairs have really worked on me. I'm like, I'm well in. You got me right back in, Chairs.
Well done, Marvel, then, for that.
Great work. You got me. The guy who probably will forget in like a week when the chair hype's left me.
I'm just concerned because I just don't feel like I said, the build-up is there. You can listen to the Brave New World episode that was on this feed recently talking about how Marvel has lost their ability to generate hype in the way that they used to and lost any kind of sense of direction when it comes to building things up.
It could also be the distance thing as well. Either the Marvels or Guardians, whichever was the most recent, I think was my last Marvel. Oh no, Deadpool, I forgot about that one.
Which kind of counts, but not really.
It's adjacent, but I've not been watching. The last TV show I watched was Loki Series 2. I don't think I've watched any of the TV shows in a long time. I definitely not watched Moon Knight, Agatha. I missed a lot, so it's nice to sort of step away and be like, oh yeah, Marvel, that's fun. They're fun things, but I've not watched essentially your Quantumanias and your Brave New Worlds and the movies that have turned out to just be either bad or fine. So I'm not as worn down. I know you've kept up, not watched every TV thing. Like you said, you've not watched every What If, for example, but you've kept with the concepts, Friendly Neighborhood, Spider-Man, Daredevil, the TV show before Daredevil, Echo.
I haven't seen Echo.
Okay, not seen Echo, but you've been in the Marvel zeitgeist, the timeline, you followed through in the phases.
I haven't been rewarded for it.
But I've been rewarded for it. So yeah, now it does feel like, why am I watching all this stuff? Why am I getting the cinema ticket to go watch a movie if you're not putting the effort in you used to? That's what a lot of people feel. So maybe as I've been distant or picking and choosing, I will go and watch the Thunderbolts because that just looks good. And not because I have to, because it's a Marvel and you have to keep up with the story, but more choosing, I'm going to choose the ones that look good and I'll just skim the rest. So maybe that's why this is sort of revitalized a bit more. This looks like a big Marvel. I will be ready when that comes out to be like, okay, I'm ready to get seated and watch midnight release, IMAX. That nostalgic hype for a big Avengers is sort of building back up.
Could be. It's just, from my point of view, everything that came in phase 1, 2, and 3 felt earned and built up to, whereas this, it's just, oh, Doomsday, it's just something that's happening. It's just another film we're making that happens to have everybody in it, because we haven't had, like I said, the through line of a couple of Shang-Chi movies, a couple of whatever to build up.
There is definitely that is unavoidable. But again, I think that's the thing of studios are greedy, and also you just can't repeat the long game they played in the first one. I don't think they could have done that again.
They didn't need to as such, but what they could have done was given us a reason to invest in the new characters more, because I like a lot of these new characters. I liked Shang-Chi, I thought it was great, and I wanted to see more of him, but now his second appearance is going to be maybe 5 minutes screen time in an ensemble film that has at least 27 other heroes in it.
Yeah, I think it's just how the Marvel train is kind of winding down and they're losing millions. Marvel's sunk. TV shows probably aren't doing particularly well. And they've had production troubles.
Brave New World was a failure.
Brave New World was a failure. They've had the Jonathan Majors thing, Quantumania bomb. It feels like every Marvel movie is the biggest bomb until the next one. So they're on a sort of damage control.
Until you have a Deadpool rescue it, for example.
There probably was, oh yeah, we will make Eternals 2, we'll make Shang-Chi 2, but then they've gone like, oh, we have to change it because nobody watched this, nobody liked it. Unfortunately, also world events, like people won't watch Marvel at home. It's a movie-going experience, and in lockdown, people are like, I'll get around to Black Widow, I'll get around to Shang-Chi. They just didn't, because it wasn't the immediate need of, oh, you have to be up to date in the movies. Well, I say for me, if I'm watching a superhero movie, I want to see it in the cinema, because that's what makes it fun. Say stuff like the new Spider-Man. If I'd watched that at home, it'd have been rubbish because I didn't grow up with, say, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield characters. But the energy in the room of people 8 years old again, oh, it's Tobey Maguire, it's Willem Dafoe. That's kind of what makes them the experience. Or Cap catches Mjolnir and the crowd goes wild and the cheering. It's so fun in the cinema. And you just can't get that sitting at home having a ready meal, watching Black Widow on your laptop screen. It's just not the same. So it's just an unfortunate thing. I mean, yeah, Marvel aren't blameless. They'll take some swings and misses. Some stuff hasn't worked out for them. Lots of stuff has happened around it. It's just been a really difficult time for movies as well. So I'm sure they would have been. I'm sure Kevin Feige's whiteboard with string and post-it notes on over there said Shang-Chi 2 is going to go into Florence Pugh's solo movie, and then Kit Harington's going to be in it, and then the Blade movie will be here, and that's also a collapse. So it sounds like, oh, we're going to have to rush it. What do people want? We think they want Avengers. They're always popular. People love Doctor Doom. People love Downey Jr. So I think a lot of it is a mix of damage control or not taking any risks, just taking the easy answer, which is not what you want to be. But unfortunately, I think it's just, well, if you want Marvel movies, you're going to have to watch a couple of Deadpools, and Robert Downey Jr. is going to have to be back as Doctor Doom because it's familiar. They don't seem to be advertising it as what Marvel could be. They're advertising it as what it was. You all love Patrick Stewart as Professor X. You all loved Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Why take a shot on a new Wolverine or a new Professor X when you're losing millions and millions of dollars a film, when you think you might do better if you put James Marsden in it or whatever, you play the hits? So that's just kind of how it is. So it's not the best, but it's just kind of the reality of, to make an Avengers movie, it's going to be one of these. It's a cameo fest. It's got like 60 people in it. Maybe it doesn't have to be that bloated, but it's just where they currently are. So it would be lovely to see the build-up would be a bit more, and maybe not to meet the Fantastic Four one movie before their big thing. But I'm not as doom and gloom about it. I'm just more like, this is just kind of what it is. You just kind of have to roll with it. It's a bit unfortunate. It won't have the impact of the heyday, but hopefully they give it a good go and they tried their best. And like I said, chairs do a lot. Good marketing. I'm well back in. I'm a Marvel stan now.
You do have a better attitude to it than I do. I'll give you that. Release date, by the way, it's next year that this is out. May the 1st, 2026.
Oh, yeah, because it's 2, isn't it? So 2027's Secret Wars, 2026 is Doomsday.
So not far away.
Yeah, not far away, actually, yeah.
There's going to be some poor animators worked to the bone on this one.
Oh, yeah, they're going to break wrists getting this animated.
And the thing is, are we going to have a lot of this compositing so that none of these actors are actually sharing the same space ever? Are they going to do more of that?
Well, I was thinking they're going to do a big cast photo where everyone on their chairs. That would cost like billions of pounds, just getting them all sat.
Yeah, The funeral scene in Endgame, apparently that was the most logistically complicated thing to put together in cinema history, because everybody was there.
Yeah, it was just absolutely insane. The work time stuff. I was like, oh, what if you actually get? Because I thought at one point I was like, what if at the end there is a big photo? It's Patrick Stewart's chair, Anthony Mackie's chair, big photo, all the gang there together. But I was like, God, that would cost like $1 billion. Just the photo would cost $1 billion.
They did that before Infinity War, didn't they? The big cast photo.
That'd be like the double of the budget.
Yeah. All we've done is taken a photo.
I'm more optimistic with this. I think there was some solid marketing. I'm all hyped up. Glad someone is.
I'm glad you were here to bring the enthusiasm. And it's probably because I've been in the trenches with this stuff.
Yeah. And after the bad Marvel movie and the bad James Bond movie, I'll come back and listen to this and be like, what an idiot I was a couple of years ago.
But you'll get to reflect on a more naive and innocent version of yourself.
Yeah, this young, naive, innocent Isaac who thought films could be good.
How wrong he was.
Should have known.
He was a broken man that just stares at a wall.
The Kingpin thing just stares at a white wall, tries to remember when films are good.
All right, well, shall we wrap up?
I think so.
Or do you have any final points you wanted to make?
No, I think that's about it. I think that's the most I've talked on any of these.
Yeah, couldn't shut you up. It was good.
Exactly, yeah. Darren Mooney over here talking about stuff.
Yeah, if Darren was here, we would be the 5 hours.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Well, that was our very short news roundup. It wasn't as short as you might think, actually, when it comes down to it.
It's pretty substantial, yeah.
We've got a good hour here, at least. I don't know what the edit will shape out to be, but that was our very short March 2025 news roundup. I would like to thank Neil Stenson for the supplied music. If you enjoyed what you heard, please do subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. It will be in your feed. Please do just hit that subscribe button. And most of these platforms have rating systems built in where you can give us ratings in the form of stars, but maybe they have off-brand stuff where it's circles or something. I don't know. Chairs.
Yeah, chairs.
Isaac, how many chairs should the listeners give us?
I know it's only a short one, so we didn't put as much effort in, but I think we still, quality over quantity, I think we pulled out a 5-chair podcast today.
5 chairs, which is a manageable amount of chairs.
We'd almost a whole row of a plane.
It's a manageable amount of actors that you can get substantial content out of, substantial scenes out of.
A whole dining set of chairs on wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and a comment if you would, please.
That'd be nice. Yeah. What's your favourite chair? Who would you Freaky Friday with? Let us know.
If you want to chat to us, you can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter/X, Blue Sky, which would be the preferred one these days, or you can leave a comment on neilbeforeblog.co.uk. You can also hit us up on Discord, where we have an engaged community of at least a listener, so that's good. Please do join that and make us a plural.
And the Discord's really fun as well.
Yeah, it is. Until they destroy it with adverts and stuff, which will happen soon.
Yeah, until then. But for now, fun. Get in while it's good.
Get in while it's good. Yep, get in while it won't cost you anything, because it will eventually.
Exactly.
For more monthly news roundups like this, deep dive analytical conversations about your favourite nerdy things, and the odd interview, you can continue to join us on Neil Before Pod.
See you all next time.